Tune into next week's episode where Wykie gets his affiliation stripped for saying that. Hey there, guys, and welcome to this episode of VIVE Group Podcast. I'm Ty Arnett, owner and head procrastinator of VIVE Group, and with me is our Australian-New Zealand director, owner of AntFit, owner of Projects Fit, all-round rusty gentleman, Wykie Etzbeth. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing very good, thanks. I just burnt my tongue on that first sip of coffee, so I can't feel my tongue. But that's okay.
Good start to a podcast.
Yeah, great start to the podcast.
That's the way to go. We're in the new podcast studio. It's almost finished. We've got this nice fake brick. Oh, real brick. Shit, we gave away the secret. And yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm vibing it. It's a lot more comfortable. Hopefully these people enjoy watching it, if you guys are watching it. If you're listening to it, hopefully it's not too echoey. We haven't got all the soundproof and acoustic treatment in yet. But no, I'm feeling it, man. I'm vibing with it.
Good, man.
Loving it. What's going on? How's your week? You are off to kind of follow up from last weekend. You were off to Auckland this weekend.
Yes, I can't wait. I'll fly out on Sunday. I'm going to go spend a week in Auckland moving our gym. We've been in the same building since 2011, so it's going to be funny moving to a new space. I think members really get attached to a space. I'm a bit nervous. I don't know what it's going to feel like in there, but I'm excited. I'm excited to go and swing some hammers and do some painting and, yeah, make the place look amazing for our members. So I'm pumped.
For sure. And I think because of what we do, we get to see so many boxes and see kind of some pretty crazy examples of boxes. I'm excited for you being able to implement those ideas, not just taking what you have and relocating it, but creating something new and fresh and exciting for you and your members, man.
One of the most exciting things, or one of the things I'm most excited about is throwing out old gear that's just accumulated in the gym that we never use, just make it a bit more minimalistic and slick and less cluttered. So over 8 years, you can't help but just gather stuff. So
I want to talk about clutter. I don't know if we've had this conversation before. I've had this conversation a lot over the years. And it's the kind of clutter that businesses gather over years. And for you guys listening at home who've been open, let's say 3 years, 5 years plus, I want you to kind of run yourself through these three filters. We promised that there wouldn't be a whole bunch of business advice, but fuck that. That's what we do. So the three types of clutter. Number one is the obvious, is physical clutter, right? Which is what you get. So, Rogue releases a new fucking apparatus every 30 seconds. I love, did you see when HQ started doing those videos with the elderly people and they had the jugs of water? And then there was that, Make WODs Great Again? Did Rogue jugs of water, $400 or something?
Like a Rogue couch as well.
Yeah, I love it. So, yeah, you buy you go into a powerlifting course and next thing you got specialty bars and then you've got all of these, you do the cardio course and next thing you've got all of these different apparatus and you just collect shit over the years. And the truth is like on a weekly or even monthly basis, you're using the same, 10 pieces of equipment again and again, but you collect all this stuff and it's got to go somewhere. And especially if you're in, a 300 meter or less gym, it just clutters and it builds up.
Yeah.
So when we do on-sites, that's one of the first things that we look at in terms of the physicality is the clutter. Quite often we can make a box look $1 million just by getting rid of some of that shit and really asking, do we need this stuff? Second type of clutter is operational clutter. And this is kind of businesses who have had their shit together since day one or, early on and they've had systems. But what people don't realize, and to any of you peeps out there who are running systems, keep this in mind as you go. You don't want to just keep adding systems over the years, right? You want to evaluate those systems. So sometimes that means adding systems. Sometimes that means getting rid of systems altogether. A lot of the times it means bringing two systems together, kind of collating the systems, realizing that, this one and this one kind of run side by side or they're done at the same time or they're done by the same person consecutively or whatever. So, I'm not impressed by a box that has 300 systems. I'm impressed by the box that has 50 that are fucking solid.
Yeah, for sure. I think the people who make this mistake is perhaps the people that come from like a corporate gym background where perhaps they were in the kind of admin-y side of running their gym and they come into a CrossFit gym and just overcomplicate it. And I think the systems that especially need to be not overcomplicated are the ones that involve the potential member. Because sometimes I can see these gyms and they've got all these hoops that a new person has to jump through to join their gym. If I was a new person, I was out after the first two hoops, because it's just too many systems to go through. So, yeah, definitely simplify that stuff.
For sure, absolutely. And then the last one, and this is one that people don't want to realize, but it's emotional clutter, right? It's that, how many times does a member leave, especially if it's under bad circumstances, before that starts to add up and kind of create holes in your psyche and how many, and shit, I've been guilty of this, maybe I am still guilty of this, but, You know, how many salty box owners are there who think the worst of their members behind closed doors, but, you know, they assume, oh, if we make this change, members will react this way. Like their default representation for members is asshole. You know what I mean? And even though they know that's not true on an individual basis, they just assume that because you had that one member. Like if you've been open for 6 years and you have one member a year who does something really shitty by you, that's 6 people who fucked you over. You know, and then you have, you know, say 4 members a year leave under negative circumstances. Well, there's a whole bunch more, and then you have 1 coach a year leave because you're not paying them well enough, but, you know, it's obviously their fault somehow. So then you've got that baggage, and you end up with like these box owners who have been, you know, shit, man. Remember back in the day, and we're only talking, let's say 5 years ago to 3 years ago, you could not open Facebook without seeing an article of like CrossFit will kill you. Like there was just kind of CrossFit was the new trend on a mainstream level, and so everyone was attacking it because that's just what you do with new shit. Because negative sells, unfortunately. A lot of the box owners who survived through that think that that's still the way it is. They still think everyone hates CrossFit and everyone thinks it's going to kill you and stuff like that. Fucking get your head out of your ass and talk to humans, real humans, because that's not what they think anymore.
No, not at all.
But you've built that emotional clutter over the years, and it's kind of added up. And so, yeah, for you guys who are watching, especially if you've been around for, you know, 3 years or 5 years plus or whatever, ask yourself, do you have any of those 3 types of clutter? Do you have the physical equipment clutter, or even, you know, maybe not equipment, maybe like, you know, look at your reception desk. See some of these reception desks and it's just shit everywhere.
Yeah, it's one of the changes I'm making. Our current desk has like shelving underneath, 3 or 4 shelves, and it's just a space for staff to dump shit. So if it's not there, if there's no shelves to dump stuff in, then they'll have to take it up to the office or find another place for it. But yeah, I think another thing with the clutter is, you know, when you get inspired by a specialty course and you buy the stuff that's needed for that, one lesson I've learned the hard way is when you realize down the line that, oh, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have bought those jerk blocks because we can't use them in class and they massive and take up a lot of space. You know, when you do take them away, when you go, okay, cool, I'm going to get rid of them, you get rid of them, and, you know, you got a bunch of members that are angry at you for taking them away. So I learned that lesson to think 3-4 times before I decide to buy a piece of equipment. For that fact, if I took it away, what would the response be, you know?
Yeah. Never implement anything that you may have to take away. Like we talk about this with adding classes. You never add a class. You add a trial for a class. You know, you do a 1 month trial. And man, for a podcast we said wasn't going to be business heavy, we're going fucking deep. It's free.
Adding so much value here.
It's $3. That's it. Total $3. Anyway, don't add a class, add a free trial. This does a couple of things. Number one, it gives you a get out of jail free card if for whatever reason it doesn't work out. It should work out, but if it doesn't, and when you add that trial, you communicate to your members, hey guys, we're going to add a trial class for the 6:30 p.m. Time slot. We're going to trial this over the next month, and you have to communicate what KPIs represent success or failure. So if we get an average attendance of 6 people or more over that whole month, then we'll keep the class. If it's less, then we won't. And your members are smart people. Remember, they're not default to arseholes. They're generally smart people. They can understand the rationale. Like, oh, okay, yeah, if there's not enough people, then the class doesn't make money, can't pay the coach. Cool. So number one, it gives you a rationale if you do need to cancel it. You're not just canceling it for no reason. But secondly, it invests your members in helping you build that class. If I really want that 6:30 time slot, I'm going to be hitting, and we're in the 4:30 or whatever, I'm going to be hitting you up to come and, selfishly to come and join me. I'm more likely to bring, like attracts like. If I can make 6:30, then there's a chance that my friends, my colleagues, the people that I surround myself can probably do the same. Now I'm just that little bit more invested in helping you fill that class. And now it's not all on you to fill that. So, but again, this just comes back to that. Don't give people something that you're going to have to take away. And again, before you go, jerk blocks are a fucking great example. Before you go investing in expensive, big, heavy fucking jerk blocks that 99% of people don't need, ask yourself, what's the reality? What does this look like in 5 years? Am I maybe going to have to take these away? You've got a 140 square meter gym and you're throwing 2 pairs of fucking jerk blocks around. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy times. Anyway, this is all way, 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 way too serious, man. I tell you what I want to do. We're going to try something out, guys. It may fall on its ass entirely. It may not work because of technical problems or whatever, but we want to do a call-in. It's going to be a live call-in, so we have no idea what's going on. I take no responsibility for whoever we call says.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
I think it'll be cool. What I want to do is I want to call, one thing that maybe people don't realize is it's hard to say this without sounding wanky, but how international Vive Group is in terms of.
You're so wanky, yeah.
It sounds like DJ Khaled. I'm the international business coach. No, but for real, we've been to 50-something countries. We've worked with boxers from God knows how many more. That's what makes what we do kind of special. Is we're not just teaching you what we do at our boxes or what we do in Australia or New Zealand. We're taking the best from all over the world, learning these lessons. Every trip we do, we're learning some pretty cool things. Yeah. And there's some really interesting nuances in the affiliate world out there. And so I wanted to kind of start with one of the most serious ones, or one of the most kind of stark differences. So I'm going to try and call my boy Diego. Let's see if this works here. This may fall flat on its ass, in which case this section will probably just be edited out. Oh, there we go.
It's calling, it's ringing.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Diego, what's going on, brother?
Pretty good, man. How about you? I'm
really good, man. I'm really good. Just so you know, you're live on the podcast now, so everything you say will be held against you.
Awesome. Good.
Buddy, what I wanted to talk about really quick, because I think the more I talk to box owners all over the world that they don't really realize is kind of the crazy situation regarding CrossFit and affiliation and the gyms in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, man. It's crazy. It's hectic. Yeah. I can tell you most likely nobody's affiliated down here. Like, I don't think even 10% of the boxers that do CrossFit here are affiliated.
Right. And that's the crazy thing. If you go to maps.crossfit.com, kind of the official CrossFit map of where all the affiliates are, I think it was something like, last time I looked, it was 36 affiliates in the whole of Mexico. And I remember hearing,
wow,
that, like, just in Querétaro, like, which is a small-ish, I guess, city compared to some of them, there was over 300 boxes with the name CrossFit on the front of their door in that one city alone.
That is absolutely right. Actually, even here, we're not affiliated. And in Cuernavaca, there's about, I believe, around 12 boxes that they use the CrossFit name. We don't, but that they do use the CrossFit name and they're not affiliated.
It's out of control. So people at home who are paying their $5,000 a year are probably jumping out of their skin right now. Do you want to explain, man? Like,
exactly. That's right.
How did this happen? Like, how did it? Because I think what people don't realize as well is this isn't illegal. Like, no one's breaking the law down there. So do you want to kind of explain?
That is right.
How did it happen? How did it get to the point where CrossFit is unable to enforce their trademark in Mexico?
I believe I'm a little bit not 100% familiar with the subject, but I believe there was somebody somewhere in the world in Mexico that trademarked the name CrossFit before. Mm-hmm. And that's how CrossFit couldn't get into Mexico through the CrossFit name. So, and whoever has this trademark is not doing anything about it to all the people who are actually using the name CrossFit because he doesn't care, or they don't care. We really don't know who they are. But it was already taken in Mexico. So CrossFit can't take any legal action in Mexico because of how trademarking and stuff works in Mexico.
That's amazing. Diego, hey, Wykie here, by the way. Just wanted to ask, so for the CrossFit gyms in Mexico that are affiliated and paying their affiliation, do you know how do they view or feel about the boxers that don't affiliate? Do they have a grudge against them, or do they kind of they not care, or what's that tension like?
I believe they don't care because they know that even through people who are affiliated, they don't get as much support as they do in any other country, especially in the States, from CrossFit HQ. So they see it pretty much just like a plus to having your name, but that's pretty much it. But they don't discriminate towards the boxers that they don't have an affiliation because they understand, especially because affiliation is so expensive in Mexico. For a box down here, I can give you a good example from my hometown. We're actually the most expensive box that we have, which is 1,000 pesos a month, which is roughly about $60 a month, and we try to give premium service, but then on top of that, you want to add how much is affiliation right now? $5,000 a year?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what a lot of boxes, man. They make that like within 6 months of business,
Yeah, sure.
So it makes no sense. If affiliation would be more approachable through Mexico, a different fee or a different way of having it, a lot of people would jump in, I'm pretty sure. But so far, it just gives you nothing but the name of CrossFit.
Yeah, man, I feel for you guys, especially I'm from South Africa, and I know a lot of box owners in South Africa have a similar tension where the exchange rate, the currency is just so, it's just so crazy, it's so expensive to affiliate that it just makes 0 cents business-wise. So, yeah.
I think
exactly, yeah.
there's a lot of boxers I know in Mexico, and I think this is where it gets tricky because I have to balance the ethical side of things, doing the right thing with also just making smart business decisions in the first place. And I think from a smart point of view, if you're just in a normal Mexican town, I think it is a real tricky decision whether you affiliate or not. That's a shitload of money. That's a lot of members that every cent that they give you is going straight towards affiliation every year. And when most boxers are running at 0 to 14% profit margins anyway, that starts to get slippery. The boxers that I do think should be doing it and that I do see do well in Mexico are the ones that are in tourist locations, in Cancun or Puerto Vallarta and places like this. You got a lot of Americans.
Or Mexico City.
Exactly. You got a lot of Americans and British and Australian. You got a lot of tourists going there. And if you're a CrossFitter, then there's a chance you're going to use that CrossFit map to try and find an affiliated place, especially during the Open or whatever. But beyond that, it's a real tough question, man. Like the question for anywhere in the world of is affiliation worth it is getting tougher and tougher. When you get to Mexico, when you consider the language support, now, shout out to CrossFit, they do a lot of their stuff in Spanish, but that only goes so far, but then when you consider the conversion rate, man, that's a real tough conversation.
Especially that, because we just recently switched presidents, and the economy is not the best thing, especially with the U.S. right now. So the value in the dollar is going way up for us, and it's still the same money. I remember when affiliation used to be $3,000, now it's $5,000,
right.
And with how things are down here, it's pretty much impossible for anybody to be affiliated. That it's not like, just like you said, like in a prime location like Cancun, Mexico City. Because in Mexico City you can charge a membership of about $150 for a good box, and that could break you even to get the affiliation. But in a small city like Cuernavaca or other small cities throughout Mexico, it's really hard.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, and you can use it legally. You can use the word CrossFit legally. I'm an honest guy, but if I was living in Mexico, if you're allowed to use that name legally, I would do it. I would do it.
Yeah. Oh, controversy.
I would.
Well, tune into next week's episode where Wykie gets his affiliation stripped for saying that. Man, the other thing I want to talk about is this might have changed. I haven't been to Mexico for, I think it was a year since I was down there and we worked together. But
it was just a year ago.
Love it, man. So
we took your seminar last year.
That was so much fun, man. I had such a great time with you guys.
It was.
One thing that I was kind of surprised about is Mexico kind of bucks the trend. And I think it's just because kind of from a timeline, it's still in the adolescence phase of, discovering CrossFit and growing CrossFit boxes. But I was surprised to find that it's one of the few countries in the world where the membership breakdown still leans towards male, right? More than 50% of the members are male, where most boxes in the world we go to, it's like 60 plus, sometimes 70 plus % female. So is that still the case? Is that where you see that the majority of people's gyms are still male?
Actually, at least in ours, it's pretty balanced. Ever since we took your seminar, things have been going very, very well in the CrossFit, of course. And it just sort of evens out as we started, diverging away from competition and focusing on just solely that and just be like a family gym. It's been better. So it's now 50-50. We have as many men as we have as many women. So it's awesome.
Beautiful. That makes me so happy, man. That makes me so happy. So talk to me. What else is? I'm trying to think of what else is kind of unique down in Mexico. What else do you kind of find is maybe unique to that market compared to other areas in the world?
You know what? We've been in this for almost 7 years now since my brother started. I've been in this for about 5 years. And the competition people, the guys that want to just go hardcore and go to competitions to everyone, all that stuff is fading out. People are looking for a place where they can, have fun, work out, live a healthy life. And that's pretty much, it's come down to that. I actually have nobody going to competitions in the box right now. It's just been going down. It's just like the community's getting stronger towards just going to a place where you want to have fun instead of just going competing everywhere and going nuts about it. Yeah, and I think I've seen that trend a lot more within the country, because we used to get invites to so many competitions. There would be a competition at least every week, and except because you didn't have the affiliation, everybody would just do competitions, and that's gone down a lot.
I'm glad you brought that
now
up.
It's just this 4 or 5, big competitions is 4 or 5 a year. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, man, I forgot about that actually. I'm glad you reminded me because, yeah, I was really struck by, at a normal seminar, you've always got a few people there who are a little bit, they lean maybe too heavy towards competitions. But I remember every box there was like, it was hardcore. Everyone was competing. The box owners were at competitions every weekend. And it was a real kind of dick swinging test. It was kind of our comp team is better than your comp team, and the competition that we run is better than the competition that they run. And it was kind of a very unique situation. So I'm stoked to hear that that's changed, man, because again, there's no future in that side of things.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, and I like it too. We get more, like, we used to get a lot of customers saying, "Oh no, CrossFit's way too hard for me. I'm not going to do this," because of all that hype of the competitions flowing around. And the customer base has been changing in the last year. A lot of a lot of more moms are showing up, a lot of more dads, or just people who literally all they want to do is just get fit, not just literally go destroy Whatapalusa or whatever.
I love it, man. It's awesome to hear that it's normalizing and that kind of the market is coming around to the same as the market everywhere else, because that's where the success is, man.
Yeah.
You got any questions, bro?
No. I just was thinking about a gym that I spoke with this week who the members expected the owners to pay for entry fee and accommodation for the comp that they were wanting to do. And it still happens in some parts of the world where where there's such a big focus around CrossFit about the competition side of things, and it's rubbish. It's such a distraction from your core business, So it's awesome to hear that things are moving away from that. And this comes from someone that I'm very passionate about CrossFit competition. I used to take part in it, and I love watching it. But I love being a successful business owner more. So it's good to hear that that's the way it's going in Mexico for sure.
Love it.
Yeah, at least in my city, and as I said, I feel it throughout the community because I don't see it as much. We have a big CrossFit group in Mexico. It's literally called CrossFit in Mexico. There's so many people in it, and you would get invites to competitions like literally constantly. And the group itself has gone down a lot. Like, you don't see as much traffic through that as you used to.
That's crazy. Oh, love it. One more question, buddy, and then I'll let you go. Kind of back to what we're talking about, affiliation and that kind of stuff. What could HQ do to develop, not just Mexico, but Central South America as well? Like, what is it that they're missing? What is it that they could do that would make all of these boxes that are unaffiliated go, you know what, that's worth it? And I think this is a good question for you because you're not affiliated. Like, what would it be that would make you go, you know what, I'll sign up for that?
At CrossFit HQ, they got the resources, they got the people. I do a market study. It's not that you won't buy a TV for the same price down either in China or in Mexico or in New Zealand or in the States for the same price. It's always going to vary because there's always like a market study to see how much it's worth. How much people can pay. If you compare minimum wage here to what it is in the U.S., stuff like that, they should literally do a market study in each country of what it is possible for a box owner, a real box owner, to pay. And I think that's what they should charge. And I'm honestly, if they do it, I'm pretty sure if they would bring down the $5,000 charge to maybe $1,000, I could literally bet you anything that at least 80% of the unaffiliated CrossFits would join.
Absolutely, man.
Because that's actually a reasonable number that it might bring you something back, but $5,000 for a lot of people, especially for us, like last year before all the changes, that would have been like at least 6-7 months worth of work just for an affiliation. Then you got 4 months left of income that's not going to do you any good.
Makes no sense.
I'd rather just save it.
That's insanity. I think they've got to look past their feet, and look up at the future and realize that, I understand their argument. Their argument is, look, their administration costs are the same in US dollars regardless of where in the world that box is, and I get that. But at the same time, you've got to look and say, you know what, is it maybe worth making a concession for certain markets to secure the future growth of CrossFit? Because we know that people want it. Like, just the number of boxes down in Mexico is huge. I know for a fact that for the last 2 years, Brazil has been the largest growth market for CrossFit. So we know that Central and South America want this kind of stuff. I think it's very short-sighted. Yeah, I think it's very short-sighted of HQ, and yeah, man, I'd love to see them come to the table and help you guys out a little bit more and get a little bit more active and a little bit more involved. But who knows, man? Crazy. Diego, thank you so much, buddy. So good to talk to you again, man. And hopefully I'll see
you too, man.
later in the year. We'll be back in Mexico. Don't know where we'll be, but hopefully I'll catch up there, have a chat, have a beer.
Oh yeah, man. Count me in for sure.
Good on you, brother. Thanks again, man. Talk soon.
Man.
Yeah, you too, man. See you guys.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Dude, what
so
a legend.
Good.
Young Diego. Musician, killer dude. Really killer dude.
What a unique market, eh? What a unique market in Mexico.
It is,
it's
man.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I've never really thought about what he just spoke about, like just doing a market research, and it made me think about what they've just done with the CrossFit Games. They've given people that are the best in the country a go at making it to the games at the expense of maybe better athletes in America. I know it's you can't really talk about the CrossFit Games in business, but in a sense they've kind of sacrificed, some spots for these, top in the countries. Why not do the same on a business front and help some of these countries out? Yeah.
Right. So basically they've leveled the playing field for competition, but not for business.
There you go.
Crazy times, man. Mexico's so much fucking fun. It's so much fun. Like, just as a country, I had an absolute ball there. I got dropped. I had some incredibly, shout out to Louise and his boys who took me around for a week and showed me the countryside. It was absolutely amazing. Drank way too much tequila and ate way too much food. But the seminar was so much fun because, I love these seminars where you go somewhere and every second thing that I know, in air quotes, to be true, is challenged. It's a really unique market. I love it. And to all our Mexican peeps, I'll be back later this year. I can't remember when, October, something like that. Good times. I'm glad that worked.
Yeah, that's not bad for the first time at all.
I was worried we'd get technical difficulties or that Diego would do a racism on air or something like that. You just never know.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next bit. Let's do sixth question. The sixth question. Got to work out these segments, bro. So what we were doing was the sixth question was, whatever a leftover question was from our 5-question Friday. But we're going to switch it up this week. We're going to ask each other a question. And we don't know these questions, so we're just going to throw them out there and hopefully we have some sort of interesting answer right after this.
And we're back. Okay, let's get into the sixth question. So I'll start with my question to you. And it's something that I think about, the CrossFit Games. And I know that you haven't got much interest in this side of things, hence the question. How much do you think the CrossFit Games means to the community? And does it affect our businesses at all, positively or negatively? Let's talk about the CrossFit Games over the last 5 years. Do you think just having the games, having that spectacle, having the athletes, has it had any sort of positive impact on our businesses, on our community? Has it added to it? Has it taken away from it? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, for sure. And you're absolutely right. I really don't give two shits about the games. I watch them each year, but to be honest, I watch the daily highlights, and that's about it. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great spectacle. It's a cool event to attend and catch up with people. But and I think that kind of leads me into my answer. Your members are definitely exposed, and potential members are definitely exposed to an extent online to the games and the open and regionals. RIP to the regionals, but most of it comes down to the culture that you build. If you make a big deal about the games, they'll make a big deal about the games. If you make a big deal about them, and who gives a fuck what someone scored at the games? What about that member that PR'd on a box jump after being scared of jumping onto a box for the last 6 months? Like it's where you put your energy. If you put your energy into your members and their achievements, then that's where their focus will be, and the games will be a thing that kind of comes and goes, and that's kind of the end of it. I don't think it'll have any particularly positive or negative effect, or if it does, I think the net effect will kind of even out and be neutral. But man, if you're shouting out about the games, and I see this all the time during the games and during the open, all these boxes where their Facebook feed is just fucking dushed. It's just non-stop game stuff. Well, cool. That's fine. That's okay. It's your box. That's the affiliate model. You get to do whatever the fuck you want, but you have to deal with the consequences, and you have to deal with people associating. You don't get to be the person that then goes, oh, everyone who comes in, is worried that, you know, what we do is the games, or they want to be an athlete and they're not ready, or you don't get to complain about that. You made that, you created that reality. I think what we forget is, because it's easy to blame other people, we forget that there's one CrossFit HQ. There's 15,000 CrossFit boxes. The boxes have way more influence over what people think. So what people think is what the boxes make people think. HQ it's a drop in the ocean of what people actually believe. And I would say to people who complain that, you know, oh, people think that CrossFit is just the games. Cool story. What are you doing about it? You know, like, because those people complain, and then the first thing I do is I go to their Facebook page, their Instagram page, their website, and they're either reinforcing those stereotypes or they're not doing anything to counter them. They're not doing anything to say, oh, hey, by the way, that's the 0.1% at the games. Don't worry about that. This is who we really are. This is the real people, you know. So, yeah, look, I think there's a healthy way to take them, the games. And I think that comes down to the box owner. The problem is that requires the box owner to take responsibility, and a lot of people just don't want to do that, to be honest.
I think it's a hard one to quantify. That's a problem, because I actually believe that, like, I play golf, and so I watched Tiger Woods win the Masters last night, and it brings this kind of sense of, like, I'm a golfer, I'm part of this, I'm part of what has happened there, even though I don't know Tiger or have nothing to do with the Masters. I mean, obviously golf is a much older sport than CrossFit, but there's still this sense of I'm part of something bigger. And I think the CrossFit Games gives that kind of sense of being part of something that's bigger than my local box, you know. And I think I know there's value there. It's just really hard to quantify it on a business level. I know even the feeling I have, you know, knowing that I feel like a CrossFitter, and that's not just because of my local box, it's because of what happens on a worldwide basis with the game. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I do feel there's value for us from a retention standpoint. I feel like a sense of belonging, being part of that, you know, bigger community,
right,
adds some value. But like I said, it's almost impossible to kind of, I guess, quantify what that is.
Yeah. But yeah. And again, I agree 100%. You know, that sense of community, that sense of being something. Everyone wants to be part of something bigger than you. You know, you sports teams, all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, even identity politics. It's just about being part of something bigger than you. But again, it's up to you as the box owner to make sure that that's the direction, that's the culture that you're putting out there is, hey, this is about being part of something bigger than us. You know, this isn't about, I'll never forget, who was it? I think it was Miko Salo back in the day put out a video of doing 1,000 squats for time or something like that. And everyone was fucked up. Like, you just saw Facebook with all these fucked up CrossFitters for, you know, the next couple of weeks, trying to copy them. You know, is it about the goal is to be that person and to do triple days and to do volume? Is that what the takeaway of the games? Or is the takeaway like, holy shit, guys, look at what we're a part of? You know, look at who won the Spirit of the Games award. Like, look at all the people attending. Look at the teens divisions. Look at the masters divisions. Like, that's the healthiest takeaway for sure. But box owners have to take responsibility, because if you don't direct the narrative, your members will direct the narrative for themselves.
Yeah.
And it may be that they take away the positive of the community. It may be that they go, you know, oh, I watch the games and I'm fired up, and now I need to do this special secret fucking voodoo training to get better. You know, so yeah, man, I think it's like most things, it's what you do with it. You know,
There's the phone call.
There we go.
We're talking about that.
We're waiting for that to happen, guys. Apparently putting it on flight mode did fuck all.
Great song, by the way.
Yeah, great song. I lost my train of thought.
Ask my question.
Oh, barbells. It's the same as barbells. Like, are barbells good for you? Well, it depends how you use it. Like, if you lift them and you deadlift and you do all that, yeah, sure. But if you drop it on your fucking face, it's pretty bad for you. You know, it's all about, you know, you defining the culture and the direction that the box is going to interpret the games.
Sure.
I guess. Good question, man.
Thanks, man.
My question for you, making it up on the spot, how important is it for the owner of the gym to be the fittest in the gym?
I think it's really important, I think you've got to set the example. Nah, I'm just joking. It's not important. What?
Let me expand the question. This is where I'm trying to get you to. How important is it for the owner of the gym to represent the product? How important is it for the owner to be a product of the product?
That's a better question.
That's a bit easier.
Actually, it's very important. Very important, but the product being a responsible role model, not the fittest in the gym. So, yeah, I think there is a decent amount of ego out there when it comes to, especially in the early days. I was definitely like that. I was like, I had to have the top scores, be the strongest, be the fittest in the gym for my first 2 or 3 years, and then that example or that focus or that goal changed for sure. Especially once I became a dad, and I think you just mature a bit more and kind of realize that we've actually got other dads, other parents in the gym, and I want to set an example for them. And the example I want to set is that I view fitness as a lifelong journey. I want to stay safe. I want to put focus and value on things like mobility and longevity and those things, and not just being the fittest and strongest. But at the same time, man, you can't. I don't know, and it might seem mean, but I just don't think you should walk into a gym where the coach is overweight and unfit, and you don't have to be able to do all the movements. You don't need to be able to do a muscle up or a handstand push up to be able to be a great coach, but you do have to represent what you guys are about. And I do feel there's a responsibility to be in shape and to be healthy, and to you can't walk with a McDonald's bag into the gym. Like it's just not. Yeah, I don't know.
For sure, I think it's about being a product of the product. Is about defining the product.
Sure.
Is the product that we're trying to give people to be the fittest in the gym? No, it shouldn't be. It definitely shouldn't be. Is it about longevity, living a happy life, having a good balance, using your fitness is the crazy one. Like the amount of box owners that never get their ass out of the gym. I don't give a fuck what your 1RM clean and jerk is. Go on a hike. Go live life. Use the fitness. Don't use the fitness to do more fitness. Use the fitness to actually live life. Set the example for your members. Go climb a fucking mountain or something, And I think that's the problem, is people feel like they define the product, at least in their own minds for themselves, as being the fittest in the gym. And, like I put out a post the other day, and I can't remember it word for word, but it was basically, the goal of being an owner isn't to be the best at anything in the gym. It's to surround yourself with fucking animals that are better than you at everything. That includes being fit. That definitely includes coaching. I can't believe you should want and celebrate when a coach is better than you. Like, you should have the humility and also just the common sense to understand, like, you're not the only person in the gym. I've been coaching for a long time now, and I've been developing coaches for almost as long. And I've had plenty of times where I've seen a coach, I've seen the moment they surpass me, whether it's in martial arts or in the military or in fitness, and it's fucking glorious. And I definitely, in my early days, it was hard and my ego got hurt. But now I realize that's a fucking beautiful thing, And I don't think you need to be the best at anything in the gym. Someone needs to be the best.
Yeah. I do think, though, like, I've definitely heard members say, that coach can't do a muscle up. How can he teach me to do a muscle? How can he, why should I listen to him when it comes to, learning how to do a muscle up if he can't even do one? And that's the perception. I understand that, but you can certainly teach things that you can't. Like, I can't do a pistol squat, believe it or not. I can't do a pistol squat properly, but I can definitely teach someone how to do it well. So, it's like any top sportsman in the world, they've got coaches that aren't anywhere near as good as them. But they coach them and teach them. But I do want to, there has to be some level of, ability physically to do stuff for your members to respect you. And because I definitely have heard members say that thing, that kind of thing where you're like, that coach can't do a handstand push-up, why should I listen to him, For
sure. I would say that person is probably not a great coach anyway. Like, my approach to it is your members should be so blinded with love and adoration at what you've let them achieve that they don't give a fuck what you can do. He can't do a muscle up. Who cares? He got me my first muscle up. It should be, if we're really focused on what the result is, if we're really focused on, the product being them living a better life, we should be facilitating. Oh, geez, settle down. We should be facilitating that to such a level that they couldn't give two shits. But I also agree, I'm not comfortable coaching right now. I'm too pudgy to coach right now. I don't care what knowledge I have to pass on, and it's a lot of knowledge, bro. It's so much knowledge.
I wouldn't let you coach my gym.
I get headaches at the amount of knowledge in my head.
You're not coaching in my gym, mate.
But I'm too much of a little fatty fuck to stand up in front of people. And I know you guys are going to comment below, Ty, you're not fat, you're gorgeous, you're handsome, you're ripped and shredded. And I appreciate the kind words, but the truth is I'm not comfortable at this point to do that. And maybe that's a personal thing. That's probably just my own insecurities.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I would 100% need a coach. I'd be so confident with you coaching my gym, purely because I know your knowledge, but also just I know you can demand respect and the people. Yeah, I would 100% let you coach my gym. I was just joking.
It's very kind.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more question? I know it's one question each, but I've just got another one.
Yeah. Selfish.
Tell me what is your ideal formula? Like if you could have the ideal gym, obviously it has to be within reason. How many members would you want in your gym, and how much would you want them to pay per week? If you could have like the sweet spot, like this many members paying this much money.
For sure. So 300 square meters, 300 to 400. Very simple, very low equipment. I don't give a shit if we've got airlines. I don't even give a shit if we've got rope climbs, rings, whatever. I'm glad to have them, but I care more about location and the appearance of the gym than I do about silly apparatus that, that don't get used that much and are an expression of fitness, not a way we gain fitness. And in terms of members, 250 to 300.
Wow.
Paying 250 to 300.
What, per week?
No, sorry, per month.
Per month. What's it? So my mind works in weeks. How much is that per week?
So what? 150, 75.
75 a week?
75 to 80 a week. Yeah, and so this is how we worked it out with our first ever CrossFit gym. This is how we worked out the pricing. We didn't say I couldn't have told you that day we opened what other boxes charge. I couldn't have given two shits what other boxes charge. The way we worked it out was what do we need to make, right? So let's pick a number, and I can't remember. I think the price was kind of up around like that 240 mark or something like this. And this is a long time ago. What do we need to make? Okay, now let's reverse engineer the product that represents that. So instead of starting from the bottom and coming up with a mediocre product and charging what it's worth, we looked at what in a real world, what do we need to make, taking into account, are there partners, how much are we going to need to split from this? What do we need to take home? What are our estimated costs? And then reverse engineer, okay, what does a $300 a month box look like? What does that service look like? And all of a sudden you go, oh, we teach great CrossFit. Well, okay, shit, that's probably not enough. The box down the road teaches great CrossFit too. We have to look at our off-the-floor coaching. I talked about this in last week's 5-Question Friday. We've got to look at all the other aspects of how we can add value to people. And look, if you can't, you can't. Like if this is the litmus test. If you get to the point where you go, well, we need to charge $800 a month. Well, what service can we give in the CrossFit world that's going to give us that? Well, probably nothing. Probably move to Dubai and hope that you can get a couple of sheikhs involved, but you're probably not going to charge that much. So yeah, that's cool. That's what I look at.
Geez, that's a lot more than I didn't expect you to say. 250 to 300 members. That's, by the way, that's $1 million a year. That's 18,000, about 19,000 a week.
Yep.
So about $1 million a
year. There's a good number of $1 million boxes out there.
Yeah,
so there's no reason. Now here's the other side of things. What would my costs be?
Yeah, sure.
Right. I would be relentless with systematization, automation, and choosing and hiring and training and empowering the best staff possible to keep our costs as low as possible. In terms of the back end stuff, 90% of it would be done. Anything that doesn't need to be done face to face would absolutely be done, processed, administered by a VA. Keep that cost down, $6 an hour, whatever. I would hire. I would make sure that the opportunities that we were giving for our coaches were so impressive in terms of the career opportunity, but also the pay package, the remuneration package was so significant that we had enough applicants, or if I trained them, that I trained enough people that we could do, similar to what Unscared has done, where you're not just choosing a great coach, you've got enough people where you can find that diamond in the rough that is a great coach and great at marketing, or a great coach and great at retention. I'd look for those real super fucking stars. With the possibility of them opening their own box in the future, understanding that those people are driven and I don't want to hold them back to just being employees for the rest of their lives. But yeah, man, I think there's not enough people who price themselves high enough, who realize that people will pay, and let's call that, I said 250 to 300 members. Let's call it 150 members at 300 a month. Still a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And by the way, the reason that the number is that high is because the trend and the smart thing to do now is, you open at 5 a.m., you close at 10 p.m., and you have classes on the hour every hour. A lot of people think, there's no way you can fit 250 people in a 150 square meter gym. Absolutely you can. If you only run morning classes and evening classes, then yeah, of course. But you're paying rent 24/7. So fill up that time and understand that it's 2019. The 9 to 5 is dead. There's plenty of shift workers. There's plenty of contractors. There's plenty of business owners. There's plenty of retirees. There's plenty of stay-at-home mums. There's all these people there's all these people that can train at 1 p.m., 9 p.m., 11 a.m., like all of these, what lazy people would call off-peak. I get fucking so annoyed at the idea of off-peak. It's either lazy or it's just narrow-minded, not realizing that, what is off-peak to a 9 to 5er is the perfect fucking time for a contractor, shift worker, retiree, whatever.
But I'll have to get rid of my barbell club in my open gym, so I won't be able to put those classes.
Oh, shit.
But you're right. I'm actually training at a Globo gym at the moment, and you're absolutely right.
Heathen.
What a heathen. But yeah, there's people in that place, hundreds of people in that place, all day, every hour of the day. If people want to train, they can train at all times of the day. But for some reason, with CrossFit, they can only train before and after work.
11 p.m.
I know.
You know what I mean? I tell this story before, but, fuck it, we've got time. The first time I went to Glasgow, I jumped off the train. It was, I think, a Friday or a Saturday night. Caught the train up from Newcastle, got to Glasgow, and what I didn't realise was that night, the two local teams, the Rangers and the Celtics, were playing for the first time in quite a while, and it's a big thing. It's the derby, and it's the Glaswegians get very Glasgow about it. It was quite a party / stabbing, I guess you could say. And I get there at midnight, and there's fucking people everywhere. There's police everywhere. It was intense. It was cool and scary at the same time. And I walked from the train station to my hotel, which was like 300-400 meters, with my suitcase and my bag. And next to my hotel, this is maybe midnight by this point, is a 24-hour gym, and there were 16 people in the gym. I know, because I couldn't believe it. I stopped and counted. 16 people in the gym on either Friday or Saturday night, or Saturday or Sunday morning, technically, on the night of the biggest game of the biggest sport in the country, essentially, and they were still in there training, And unless that's like, maybe someone from Scotland will tell me, that's actually a tradition. We watch the game, we get drunk, and then we go do some deadlifts. I'll stand corrected. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's when it kind of clicked to me, like, holy shit, we're putting these limitations on ourselves by saying 2 or 3 classes in the morning, 4 or 5 classes in the evening, maybe a spattering of classes in the middle of the day, and that's it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, this was years ago, and now we're seeing it come to light, that a lot of these boxes that are very successful, that are fitting large numbers of members into a small space, it's because they're rotating every hour on the hour, essentially. And it's the way to go. Why not? You're paying rent, fucking do it. And to kind of go back to what you kind of said before about running specialty classes or open gyms, the worst fucking example, all that is you're trying to fill these empty hours with something that's just easier, or it's not making you money. It's not what you do, right? It's not what people come for, stay for, pay for. And so instead of pulling up your big boy pants and saying, all right, let's put a fucking CrossFit class there, or whatever it is that your core competency is, people put something that's a little bit easier there, and it's a bit of a bitch move. When you consider with just a little bit more work, you can fill that with something that makes you real money and helps people the way that you intended on helping people.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, sick question, good question, buddy.
Thanks, man. I'll follow them eye.
All right, that's it. I got nothing else. You got anything else?
Oh, man, that was a good podcast. Good.
That was good, man.
Yeah, good.
Got to talk to Diego. Shout out to Diego. Thank you very much, buddy. And yeah, thank you very much, guys, for listening. Hopefully this is a little bit better than last time, and next week will be a little bit better than this week. If you've got any suggestions, anything you would like us to talk about, any questions you'd like us to answer, any segments you'd like us to see, let us know. Which way do you want this podcast to swing? Do you want it to be more businessy? Do you want it to be more personal, us just fucking around? What do you guys want? We're creating something for you. Besides that, man, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man. Wow,
Appreciate
that's
it.
something new as well. Good.
Hey, there we go. Awkward, over the top. For those who can't see,
Oh, wow, that gave me a fright.
killing the podcast just as we're about to end. Fuck it. Let's get out of here before this happens again. All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.